Ladies and gentlemen, there's a project I'm looking into right now that I've not covered on the channel in a couple of months. And I wanted to make a video about this a little bit sooner, but sometimes I get slow, okay? It can happen to the best of us. There's so much in the crypto space. But boy, oh boy, do I already regret not making the video when I planned for it on the 18th of March. Because again, the last time I made an update video on this was over 6 months ago. And as we can see, the price had a pretty significant dip right around then. And right now is starting to come back. And more importantly, I'm starting to notice a lot of these bigger crypto news outlets start to post about it. And I'm just saying here, I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. But perhaps it is time for another leg upwards. As it's gotten that momentum back, it had back here as well. And in the grand scheme of things, if you just zoom out, realistically, the price is kind of like nowhere just quite yet. But perhaps these guys are turning on the marketing jets. And that is something that a lot of people do not know about. In crypto bull markets, I've said this 1,000 times, you do not look for what is the most undervalued thing based on hypotheticals of very future analysis. You might look for undervalued gems because the sector is about to blow up and you've got some confirmations or just some deductive, analysis or whatever. But it's not very far-fetched as in, this crypto, that crypto, yeah, nobody knows about them, but they are actually really, really good. No, you look for which projects have a ton of money and are just not showing for it, okay, undervalued, for example, or which projects are really, really hot or are getting a lot of attention, or a combination of those. And I'm noticing, guys, and I think you guys might notice this too. So this is just my dusty brain here, maybe taking things a bit too far, but when I look over on YouTube, right, I'm all of a sudden seeing a lot of people, Altcoin Daily right there, interview, 51,000 views. Data Dash, if you don't know these channels, some of the biggest channels in crypto, all of a sudden posting about Radix, and as you can see it right there in the thumbnail again. But I wouldn't have made a video specifically on that. Well, I kind of would, because the day that Altcoin Daily dropped a video on it, I kind of wanted to explain, which is why I said, the 18th, is why I wanted to explain they've got something pretty juicy going on, which, it kind of fell into the back of my brain, but after seeing this again, it kind of reignited. But it's actually this over on the top right, which really sparked me to now sit down, go ahead and give you guys an update on my insights, because I think this could be massive. The folks over at Coin Bureau have dropped a very in-depth review of Radix. And please guys, I'm not so sure how often they do this, but I'm starting to think and connect the dots a little bit that perhaps there's something more going on here in the background and it's like cooking up. And the reason I'm getting so excited over it is because it's bull market territory. In a bear market, if I were to do this, like 6 months ago, for example, and you see the marketing jets turning on, and you see this, very often it still fails. But in a bull market, ladies and gentlemen, almost never does it fail. When you start to see the traction, usually it sticks around. Just like how we talked about how base is probably gonna blow up because it had some initial crazy traction and some massive announcements, but most importantly, proper backing. How AI coins were gonna pop off, how real world assets right now are gonna pop off. It's just sometimes very logical to see. And if you're new to crypto, maybe you don't believe that it's a pattern, but if you've been around for a while, you understand exactly why I'm saying that. Right now, this on its leg upwards here, together with these announcements, like for example, the Coin Bureau or the Altcoin Daily ones, could be the lead up for a massive, massive rally. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not saying go ahead and just buy everything like crazy. I'm just pointing out some interesting facts here that I have personally spotted. I will point out that I've said this on multiple different occasions, right? If you guys remember, I made a video and I made a whole thread on Twitter, and I talked about it multiple times about Ego, for example, why I think their product was undervalued, why I thought that it would do significantly better over time. And I think the point where I said that, it was like right here at 0.03 something. So it tripled or so in that little time span. But again, there it was a matter of they've got a ton of money. They've gotten some traction, as over the past weeks before, we started seeing some more swings in comparison to what we saw before. Before it was mostly downtrend and negativity. And all of a sudden here, it started to trend upwards a bit. And I'm not sure exactly where my video was. Perhaps it was actually here, for example, but we started to see some traction. And as prices saw way higher before in a bull market, that usually can be a good sign. If paired up with the idea or the fact that the project actually has funds and technology or the people to back it up. If it's just an empty project and it started to trend higher and higher, sometimes it's worthless. You have to know the underlying facts behind it. And you want to know something else, guys? The reason I always try to buy emerging coins as well is partially because the moment that I saw my SOLANA here at 1 cent, I was thinking of selling it all, right? And then it went to $8 over the next 5 months or so. This should be a testament to everybody thinking, oh, it's only been going down for, well, once you see that traction again, very often it can be wise to just ride the wave in a bull market. And if you're seeing only down now, even in the bull market like this, two options you've got, right? It's one, skip it, go for the next thing, and two, analyze a little bit deeper and understand, or I guess judge for yourself. Is it because the hype is just not there, but you know, they've got the money and everything else makes sense? If that's not the case, then I don't know what you're doing, because right now your back should be flying and you should be looking for gems. Now, I will say that it's not on the cheap side. It's not as if Radix is like, oh, a 1000x gem anymore, because they're already massive, 807 million. But it's kind of like how what I've told you guys very, very recently here with Aptos. One of the reasons I'm so extremely bullish on Aptos, which is not loading in right now, but hey, is because it's just a few dollars a little bit ago, but it went from, again, just please look, right? It went from only down at some point to, hey, we're starting to see that trend back upward, and then you have to somewhere catch it because you understand they've got the money, they've got the connections, they basically got everything. I'm gonna try catch that wave and go for it. And even right now, we're not even at all-time high levels for Aptos just quite yet. It's at roughly $20 a little over a year ago. But again, this is the way I usually operate. This is the way I usually go with the bigger cryptos. The ones I've got more faith in, the ones, they're not my 100x gems, but are coins that I think have a very high probability of just success, and I think you guys all get it. On the opposite side, we could also talk a little bit more in depth about Radix specifically. And I think a lot of you guys do not know this, but we don't just always joke around with these coins. There's actually a lot of analysis that goes on in the back end. And you can see more in the Altcoin Daily interview. If you guys want an interview done as well, maybe press that like button like crazy. Maybe then I can also try get it done. But for example, one of the things they're doing right now is a new liquidity incentive. He writes inventive. I'm not so sure exactly why. But they're just trying to get more liquidity into the Radix-backed stablecoins. So the Radix native, I should say, stablecoin, or I think any wrapped version for that matter, just on Radix, and they're trying to incentivize that a little bit more. Again, there's also a story about why Radix is better than AVAX, Injective, and Solana. Again, you can be the judge of that yourself, but the way I personally see it is every now and then you have to kind of go for opportunities that have not done Aptos yet, where Aptos, again, I would say Aptos is a slight bracket above right now, right? Because it's obviously also 10 times as big. But the funny part that a lot of people don't understand about these things is many people still think Aptos is garbage and should be worth $0. Yet it is worth $7 billion with a fully diluted value of $19 billion. SUI in a similar predicament. It's worth $2.5 billion, fully diluted $20 billion, which is another story when we're going to talk about circulating supply and the fact that these guys are in it for the long haul, you know, the institutional investors in it. But many people think it should actually be worth $0. Yet, you know, look at the market cap. And I don't have to keep explaining to you guys where once this only downtrend stops and the uptrend begins, which is not when the bull market begins, because like when the bull market begins, it's basically when Bitcoin made the dip, right? Which was way before this, and then started to go up. That's a vastly different point than when a lot of the altcoins hit their lowest points. But more importantly, it's a very significant difference to when the altcoins really started trending upwards or went for up only. And that's the point which a lot of people consider to be the start of the bull run. But for a lot of the altcoins right now, they've still not been going on this massive tangent just quite yet. Or some have, but they've not had an exponential spike. For example, SUI went from 40 cents to 80 cents, but all of a sudden had a massive spike from 80 cents to what? $1.40 in a span of almost nothing. And now over the past couple of months, it's gone from 37 cents to $2 something. That is the type of vibes you're looking for. Anyway, guys, let me know down below if you'd like to get a more in-depth thought on all this. I'm just sharing it because you see, I thought about making the video and I didn't, and now I'm already a little bit late to the party, but I still wanted to share my knowledge and my thoughts on the matter. Again, it's been 6 months since I did my last update, and I wish I could turn back time, but I can't. So just take this any way you'd like, I guess, and let me know down below if you agree with my thoughts on the matter of, you know, crazy exponentials. It hasn't really done it yet. I think there's still some possibilities for it, but hey, let me know down below if you agree.